Do you think people like Jason Chaffetz and others who were these sort of inquisitors of yours, do you think it was fully bad faith? Which is to say, if they took a truth serum, they would be like, yeah, there's not much here? Or do you think they convinced themselves that they were on the track with this email, for instance, of some huge scandal?
I think the leaders, it was totally bad faith.
That was Hillary Clinton tonight being asked about former House Oversight Chairman Jason Chaffetz, who aggressively investigated Secretary Clinton's use of a private email server while Secretary of State. And he just happens to be joining us now for a reaction. Jason Chaffetz, he is now a Fox News contributor, and I believe you're in Boston tonight. So thank you for joining us. Did you expect to get a shout out tonight from Hillary Clinton?
It is a bit surreal sometimes to hear her talk like that. Look, there were 4 Americans who were killed in a terrorist attack. And the night of that attack, she told the Egyptian prime minister the truth. She told her daughter the truth, and she lied to the American people. That's in part what started this. It was also an inspector general who found that Hillary Clinton was housing classified information in a non-classified setting. They're the ones that started this. We, as the Oversight Committee, continued that investigation. And what Hillary Clinton told the American public in a series of statements that turned out to be totally false, she perpetuated the story and her own problem. She eroded the confidence in the American people that she had this ability to lie to the American people, and it just eroded her credibility. She did that unto herself. It wasn't somebody like Jason Chaffetz or Trey Gowdy or somebody else who was out there playing gotcha. We just helped to hold people accountable, and she couldn't handle the truth.
It is interesting to me that in this book, what happened, she walks right up to the line of taking responsibility for things, but just can't quite make herself do it.
She can't. She can't get there. She doesn't understand it. Remember this whole email scandal. It was Hillary Clinton, on the very day that she started her Senate confirmation, she set up the server. It was her staff that did that. Do you think that was really a coincidence? Or do you think maybe that was the mindset that really started this whole series of events?
I always thought that it was remarkable because I worked in the Bush administration from October 2001 until the end. I didn't even have a personal email address until after I left the White House. It never would have occurred to me because I knew that it was wrong and you could possibly lose your clearance and it was illegal and all of those things. Let me ask you, though, because some people are trying to compare apples to apples here with a news story that is out. There's been a development tonight, even additionally to what we knew earlier. The New York Times reporting that up to 6 of the president's top aides have been using private email to do government business. Let's take a listen to what Hillary Clinton had to say about Jared Kushner and his emails.
Now we have this story about Kushner and apparently others in the White House, and I am waiting to see the outrage on the part of Republican members of Congress about this, and you will not see it.
I can understand where she's trying to go with this, but I do not see it as the same thing, and I wonder if you, since you were the investigator, how do you see it?
Well, it is wrong if somebody set up their own private email or used private email. In the case of Jared Kushner, we're told that it's less than 100. But look at what Chairman Trey Gowdy, a Republican from South Carolina, and Elijah Cummings, the Democrat from Maryland, sent a joint statement to Don McGahn, the White House General Counsel, saying, give us an accounting of everybody at the executive level there that is using personal email. And I can tell you personally, as a former member of Congress, the former chairman, if they're doing that, it also is wrong. And
one of the things that Kushner's lawyer says that they would, if they did government business on personal email, that they also forwarded it to an email address that would be captured by the Presidential Records Act, so that they are, and this is their words, saying that they are in compliance with the law.
Well, so it's incumbent upon the Oversight Committee to actually hold them accountable to doing that. That's exactly what we did with Hillary Clinton, although still to this day, there are tens of thousands of records that she has not turned over. It's not even her responsibility to do it. It's the State Department. That still hasn't happened. I'm disgusted that there are nearly 200-plus people at the State Department that are still under an open investigation, that still have a degree of security clearance, even though they're under investigation by the State Department for traversing in classified information in a non-secure setting. But that is so different than Hillary Clinton, who set up her own server and domain name on the very day that she started her Senate confirmation. And so in what she said tonight about, oh, where's the outrage? is factually incorrect and she's misinformed because Trey Gowdy today actually sent a letter to the White House.
All right. Well, we will continue to follow it. The thing that bothers me is that there's always this sense that politicians think that they can be above the law. And the rest of us
She's the victim. Once again, Hillary Clinton is just the victim, and it's just disgusting. It
All right,
really
Congressman. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
The left has created a monster. That is the subject of tonight's Waters Words. For many years, Democrats sat by while Code Pink protesters attacked people like Condi Rice, threw pies at Ann Coulter, and looted during the racial riots. This was one of the reasons Donald Trump was elected. The silent majority was sick of this, but now it's spun out of control and boomeranged on the Democrats. Exhibit A. Dreamers bombarded House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, one of the most open border Democrats in Congress, for working with Donald Trump to save DACA.
You don't know what you're talking about. You are not helping the cause that we want to take this first stage today.
Wow. Two things here. One, Pelosi's getting a taste of her own medicine. And two, these dreamers don't even know what they're talking about. They've been fed so much fake news, they don't even realize Trump is working with Pelosi to provide a permanent status for children who were smuggled across the southern border by their parents. But instead of Democrats telling the truth to their constituents, they run damage control for them. Here's what Democrat Senator Jeanne Shaheen said about the incident.
I'm just confused about why they're holding Nancy Pelosi at fault here. Do they not like that she's working with the president to do this?
Listen, you'll have to ask them. Who knows who's stirring up this kind of animosity. What we know about the Russians and their interference in the 2016 elections is that they tried to increase divisions within this country.
Yeah, Senator, the Russians were behind the Pelosi protests. Maybe Mueller should investigate. Back to Nancy, who got so rattled by these radicals, she caved to the hard-left Latino lobby and said this about illegals.
Their families did a great thing for our country, bringing these kids here who are working, who are in the military, who are in school, who are a brilliant part of our future.
This is one of the most powerful women in Washington, saying it's okay to illegally smuggle in children across a dangerous desert and then put them in legal jeopardy. You're out of your mind. Exhibit B. Former FBI Director James Comey was delivering a convocation at Howard University, a historically black college in Washington, D.C., where he immediately, upon speaking, this happened. Now, I don't even know what was going on there, whether it was a black power thing or a liberal thing, but it was rude and disrespectful. First of all, Comey's disliked by Republicans and Democrats. Second, is Comey a racially divisive figure? I've never even heard that before. He's an invited guest. Is that how your parents raised you, to treat a guest in your home? Speaking of rude, Exhibit C. Congresswoman Maxine Waters. During a eulogy at comedian Dick Gregory's funeral, Ms. Waters decided it was the appropriate time and place to say this about the President of the United States.
This dishonorable human being who had the alt-right and the KKK and everybody else inside his cabinet. When I get through with Donald Trump, he's going to wish he had been impeached. I'm going to say impeach 45 every day. Impeach 45 every day. Impeach 45 every day.
That has a ring to it. Dick Gregory deserved better than that. In addition, are you asserting that the Ku Klux Klan lives in the White House? If you really believe that, there's something wrong with you. Lastly, I don't know if you know this, Congresswoman, but you can't impeach the president unless the Democrats take back the House. And you're not helping them, especially with this nonsense.
Black people, you better get controversial. You'd better be controversial. You had better call it like it is. We've been shut down because others have defined us. When they said to us about 10, 15 years ago, oh, she's playing the race card. you should say, yeah, and I got a lot more I'm going to play.
Maxine Waters telegraphing that she'll be playing the race card. Boy, would I love to play poker against her. Also not helping the cause, Toure, a fired MSNBC contributor. Exhibit D. After Donald Trump threatened North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, a.k.a. Rocket Man, with annihilation if he ever attacked the United States or our allies, the dear leader criticized the president, calling him a deranged dog. Toure chimed in on Twitter. Kim Jong-un is right. Far from making remarks that can be viewed as helpful to diffusing tension, Trump made unprecedented rude nonsense. So here you have a left-wing pundit siding with a savage serial rapist, torturer, and nuclear-armed cult leader over his American president. Why don't you go try living over there, Toure? Let me know how that goes for you. Exhibit E. Violent rioters causing physical and property damage in the Democratic cities of St. Louis and Berkeley recently. Notice how this violence is perpetrated by Democrats in Democrat-controlled cities. Where's the accountability there? And finally, Exhibit F, the Emmys. It was a bash Trump fest the entire 3 hours and resulted in the second lowest rated Emmys of all time. The American people don't want to hear this garbage. The hate Trump thing, not good for the bottom line, and even worse for your brand. So in closing, because this radicalism has been allowed to go unchecked by the left for so long, it's come full circle, and they're eating their own. This behavior also does not garner any sympathy for their causes. It turns off independents and hardworking Americans and does nothing to unite the country. The hurricanes showed that America is stronger when we work together, not against each other. So if the left is so hot on inclusivity, then practice what you preach. Case closed.